What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pro Van Build Series episode 4 here on Vanland. And today's very exciting because the van is getting a suspension kit, and not just any suspension kit, but actually the Van Compass 4.5 with the ADAPT control system. So basically this is an electronically controlled suspension kit. So we're super excited to put that on here. I'm lucky in that this is the van that I get to drive when I'm out and about. And right now it doesn't ride that well. I'll be honest, the Sprinters have a few things that they really need added to them, especially if you're doing an upfit on the inside. And one of those is definitely the suspension kit. As of right now, the van is pretty much empty. I think we've added less than 1,000 pounds of gear to the van so far, so it's still pretty light, but even the light vans really do need the suspension kit. You'll also notice that we still have the factory rims and tires on the van. Eventually those will get upgraded, but the first test of the suspension is going to be with the factory rims and tires for those of you who are keeping them. So you'll also notice that the tires are dirty. We just went out and filmed kind of the before portion of the video. We took it out to some kind of sloppy, bumpy terrain. It was basically in a large lot. So let's actually go out and take a look at what the van looked like before we put the suspension on, and then we'll take it into the shop, do the suspension, and go back out and test it again. All right, this is it. Here we go. Okay, we just brought the van into the shop, so that means good things are about to happen. We've got Sam, who is our suspension expert, working on this job. I know the van is in good hands, so let's follow the job along so you guys can see how this one works. Come on. Just got the suspension system finished up. The installation on this does take a little bit longer than the traditional 4.3 kit because you do have to run wires from each of the shocks and then bring them up through the seat base, and that's actually where the control module gets mounted, as you guys saw on the installation video. So now that everything is installed and all buttoned up, we are going to calibrate the system and then take it back to our little off-road trail and see if there's any difference between when we first did it and had no shocks whatsoever, and then the Van Compass 4.5 kit. All right, so let's do the installation calibration. It says begin with your vehicle in park. Done. Turn your vehicle's ignition on, so it's on right now. All right, the Bluetooth connected almost immediately to the module. All right, now it says we should be on flat ground, accelerate gently to 15 miles per hour, and then sharply apply the brakes, and that will let the control module know where it is oriented in the vehicle. All right, so here we go. Let me put this down. And go. Make sure there's no one behind us. All right, 5, 10, 15, and brake. All right, let me pull over, and it says installation is complete. So let's click done on that. I had the system set to automatic. So basically in automatic, it's riding in soft mode, but then given a few set of criteria, it will switch to the stiffer suspension. And basically it has to do with how many G-forces are being applied in the 3 directions, either accelerating, decelerating, or side to side. So I'm actually gonna wait for a minute here. It does seem like it takes a minute for the app to kind of start picking up what's going on. I might actually just do a little driving, and then let's see if it starts reading what forces that we are creating as we drive. All right, here we go. As we're driving, I'm seeing that the threshold for the system to switch from soft to firm is actually reached in a number of different conditions. When we're accelerating, it's going to stiffen up the suspension. When we're decelerating, it also stiffens it. And then if you're making any sort of sudden turns or there's a back and forth movement, and that's on the standard program. So you can dial in programs that are more specific to how you want to drive. Like if you want it to stay softer for longer and not switch to firm so quickly, you can do that. But this feels really good. Basically, whenever you feel the van start to move too much, you can see on the app that it turns, the background color turns to red, which shows you that it's firming up the suspension. It does that for 2 seconds, and then it goes back to soft. Unlike switching your shocks, by going out of the vehicle and turning the knobs on the shocks themselves, the ADAPT system is basically always working, and I was surprised to see how often it's switching back and forth from the soft to the firm to accommodate for the road conditions. So people ask us, is it worth it to get the electronically controlled shocks? And I would say yes, because you're getting a lot more performance, and the system is basically handling the suspension tuning for you as you drive, which to me gives a lot more value to the shocks overall. Bad news. Yep.
Oh my God.
Okay, we got ourselves in trouble. All right, so here's the situation. We were out doing some off-road footage and found a very soft spot. I walked it first, but it definitely was too soft for the van. So we got stuck. We got stuck pretty deep. I pulled the winch out, but I don't have a good attachment point that's straight ahead of me. So fortunately, some of the guys that work at the shop were driving by. They saw us, they laughed first, and then they said, hey, give us a second, we'll come help you. So right now, Dustin and Jordan are hooking us up, and hopefully the winch will pull us out and not drag us out. So let's see, let's give it a shot. Okay, Dustin on the anchor, Jordan on the winch, me behind the wheel, Katie on the tube. All right, you're spinning back here, but the front's looking a little better. All right, everybody, that was quite the adventure. We just took the van out to test the suspension and ended up getting stuck, as you saw. So fortunately, we had a winch mounted to the front of the van, and some of our friends were driving by because the winch wasn't going to be long enough to attach to any tree or anything solid. We drug ourselves out, finally got to some dry ground, and now back at the shop cleaning up this mess. So it happens. This is what you go through sometimes when you're just trying to be adventurous and you push the limitations of your gears. So the suspension is working great. We only got to test it briefly before we got stuck, but I do know that this suspension gets rave reviews. So for a van like this, you really need something to basically take the weight off of the frame, stop it from bouncing and rattling, and this kit will do it. It just will not help you get unstuck. Doesn't do that. Anyways, thanks for joining us this week, and hopefully you guys had a fun time watching this. I'm gonna keep cleaning up, and we will see you next time. Bye.